I am Christopher Peter and I welcome you back to the CRC Review, your podcast for common sense analytical commentary on salient topics impacting our economy and society. In this episode, I am going to discuss how we can achieve a better America, both from a government standpoint and a people standpoint. All Americans want to continue to see the nation that we love persevere and prosper. I believe we just need some perspective. I will always feel the United States of America is the greatest nation in the world. Americans are blessed with opportunities not readily available outside of our borders. Americans enjoy many freedoms others can only dream about. Americans enjoy an overall sense of security not common in many places. All of this is possible because of our shared societal values, governing principles, and our economic views. Shared values embedded in our society from our founding. A nation built on freedom, self-determination, opportunity, and diversity. While our nation has not always afforded people with their rightful access to these principles, more people come to the United States than any other nation and impacted communities never seek life elsewhere. There is always hope in America, the great diverse land of opportunity. Always hope despite our issues, some real some fabricated. No nation can claim perfection or a history free of indiscretion. America is a great nation with a great history. There is no denying that. There is always room for improvement, which is a challenge our society always accepts. The belief that America must protect our American democracy and way of life by rejecting the same shared values and principles that created our melting pot society and the most diverse and dynamic economy in the world is something we cannot accept. A more rational approach is to find ways to better exemplify our espoused values and extend access to unifying principles to all groups in a fair manner. If Americans want a better America, we need to demand that our government operate in a manner that embodies our democratic values, protect our freedoms in all aspects of society, and foster an economy that affords opportunity to all groups in a fair manner. No matter what political party you may affiliate with or your political ideology, you must admit that our government is not operating in a manner conducive of a leading democracy. At the core of any democracy, government must embody the general will of the people. The United States has a representative democracy, where the voice of the people is heard through elected officials speaking on behalf of a select constituency. Any efforts to exclude elected officials effectively silences the people that individual represents. For quite some time, our federal government appears to forget this particularly important and essential principle. Since the Obama era, our leading political parties have adopted a parliamentary style of government, seeking to run the federal government along party lines and break away from traditions of the past. Despite the American electorate giving our leaders every opportunity to work together to resolve our issues, our elected officials prefer the one-party rule. Furthermore, the executive branch continues to exert greater influence on our lawmaking process by ruling through executive order. Our government is not intended to function as a monarchy. The legislative branch, made of branches with the broadest representation of the population, is charged with making the laws. The executive branch signs the bills into law and enforces. Again, our laws should be made in the body of government with the greatest influence from the population. The same body of government that regulates the actions of the branch of government executing those laws. There is an ingenious design in ensuring the people have a strong voice in how our laws are shaped. Congress should act as its own branch of government, not deferring to the executive branch. The common excuse, especially from Democrats, is the lack of desire to negotiate with people that hold different views than them. But leadership at its core requires the ability to negotiate with those of differing viewpoints, needs, and wants. Leadership in any walk of life requires the ability to negotiate. The ability to find common ground to move past obstacles. Leadership is not storytelling or hysterically complaining about your situation. Real leaders negotiate. A great contributor to the political division in our society is because the false idea that compromise and negotiation is a bad thing. During the Obama era, our partisan leaders in Congress stripped many rules protecting bipartisan government in favor of ruling along party lines. Now, Biden-era Democrats want to remove the filibuster to usher in an era of totalitarian government. For a party that constantly uses Russia and fascism in the political attacks, one would think those would not be staples of their political leadership. Our society is losing its unity because our leaders choose not to tolerate each other and work together. Political tribalism and rigidity are not acceptable in our society. We must understand its source and push for a change of direction. We must remember as a society that every elected official represents the people. Silencing that individual harms access to our democracy to significant groups of people. Political silencing is becoming the unfortunate norm in our current culture. People with values or ideas that counters others are being silenced for political purposes. Our society is no longer about facts and evidence, but more about narratives and storytelling. There are many false processes being used to facilitate censorship and silencing of political opponents. We all can agree that people should not call for violence against others and property. All can agree that people should be truthful in our national discussions. But here is clearly a lack of consistency in applying this standard. When there is a clear lack of consistency, the practice is clearly a tool for silencing groups of people. People will argue there is a difference if the silencing is being done by the government or a private sector entity. Our Constitution protects against government's infringement of speech, but not against the actions of a private sector entity. That is the argument many on the left use to protect the behaviors of social media companies. One must question whether a private sector entity has the right to manipulate our democracy and impact our elections. An argument against the practice is the end desired result of the behaviors is to impact the outcomes of an election, creating a legitimate claim of fraud. The social media companies are in between a rock and a hard place when some in society demand they regulate speech and when they take an uneven approach in regulating speech. Government officials should not be seeking end arounds to silence their opponents. Private sector leaders should not capitulate to those demands. Speech we may disagree with should still be allowed to exist. Promoting ideas that we disagree should be allowed to exist. That unfortunately is a fair part of living in a free democracy. People are better off in our society when they hear other points of view rather than isolating themselves in their own echo chambers. Healthy debates are good for society. We can agree to disagree and still be cordial. We must always remember we have more in common than our differences. Many times, we want the same end results but differ on the path to achieve them. This is where negotiations come in to take the good and constructive areas of both arguments to craft solutions that best advance society forward. There are plenty of opportunities to find common ground to solve issues with diversity, national security, and immigration reform. We all can agree that diversity is good for our society and America should expand opportunities so all can fairly compete. The area of difference is whether equal opportunity means fair competition or equal outcomes regardless of ability, skill set, and contribution. Many on the right support diversifying pipelines for employment so everyone has an equal chance to gain employment. Members of the fringe left want organizations to purposefully make employment resemble our national demographic statistics without any regard for qualifications. Of course, that standard would not be applied universally. There are issues with cronyism in hiring processes, where people rely more on past connections from their LinkedIn or Rolodex rather than casting a wide net to expose decision makers to diverse pools of candidates that may have qualifications beyond expectations. Companies can do better with building candidate pipelines by marketing opportunities beyond the typical channels. I am a firm believer organizations should offer mentoring to all employees. Some demographics understand and are exposed to available opportunities more so than their peers. As a society, we can do better and level the playing field so everyone has a fair opportunity at success. America can also expand upon opportunity zones so more people have economic freedom and a path to prosperity, growing our economy and tax-paying base. But we must ensure we are giving a helping hand up, not a handout. Restoring democracy in our government, reducing political bias and division, and expanding our values throughout our society alone will not make for a better America. Americans want these improvements because a democracy with opportunity hopefully will be prosperous and afford everyone a better chance at claiming their share of the American dream. Yes, I believe the American dream still exists, but the viewpoint around it is not the same. Our flawed societal perspective has many Americans believing that the American dream is an entitlement for all Americans rather than something earned. The promise of America was never a full guarantee. The promise of America was opportunity and freedom. Americans enjoy the freedom to live a life of self-determination. Enjoy the opportunity to pursue life, liberty, and happiness as they see forth. The American dream was not to live off the spoils of other people. While there were groups of people restricted from this opportunity, the opportunity is available for many people if they are willing to pursue it. There is no denying that forms of discrimination exists and that it can create obstacles. Society should weed out discrimination, but it should not be exploited or exaggerated for bad public policy. Too many people accept the myth that they are not where they want to be in life because of discrimination or because of another person's wealth, as if our economy is a net-sum game. Clearly not, or economic growth or decline would not exist. Being jealous of another person's standing, wealth, or other measures of success is not a productive use of your time. Rather, you must realize that decisions or choices made, or opportunities missed contributed more to your current lot in life. The great aspect of a free market economy that many on the left do not want others to know is the ability for people to change their trajectory in life. In socialist economies, your lot in life is unchangeable without some level of corruption or bribery. The gap many Americans face is the how. Many people hear the rags to riches stories that are highly exclusive to our American economy but are not sure how to connect it to their life. A critical first step is narrowing down what you want to do and why is that path important to you. Afterwards, it becomes a journey of figuring out how to get from point A, where you are now, to be point Z, where you want to be. Points B through Y are steps in between. For instance, if you decide you want to have a career in marketing because you feel it is important to bring awareness to products not commonly advertised in your community. A good place to start is a general overview search about the field, like key organizations, notable marketers, and iconic achievements. You would then have to determine how to develop those skills or if you have transferable skills that qualify. Most people are not natural marketers, so pursuing a degree is a must for most people. Attempt to find career paths by picking the brains of as many people in the field as you can. Find local companies where you can speak with people working in the marketing department. There is a good chance someone will take the time to share insights. Research key industry people's backgrounds as well, companies with notable marketing department structure to plan out your future. Success is never guaranteed. Failure should not serve an ending point. Many successful and wealthy people are where they are because they overcame adversity, accepted risk when others would not, or demonstrated perseverance and ingenuity in a manner like no one else. If you want to stand out in life, you have to competitive advantages and build your case around how you fit an opportunity. Believing that an environment with ideas like wage normality will satisfy your passion is not realistic. Fight complacency, constantly reinvent yourself, and always seek and take advantage of opportunity. Complaining about your lot in life and expecting a faceless distant government to improve your situation is as productive as trying to win the lottery by playing last week's winning numbers. If you want higher compensation, better title, or more fulfilling work, define your goal, and plot a path towards it while focusing on how to build a skill set that is unique and marketable. You cannot expect someone else to care more about your future than you do. That person will never exist. As Americans, we need to accept the challenge of defining our own futures and earning our share of the American dream. Each one of us has different definitions of success. Accept your responsibility for it and claim your right to attain it. Thank you for experiencing another episode of the CRC Review. Please continue to visit www.crcreview.com for more. Until next time.